My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for joining us on the marketplace. Now, persons who want to fly to London, even via transit through other European airlines, may be hit with some challenges and delays. It's coming after British Airways cut its daily flights on the Accra-London-Accra route to 5 from 7. Here's more from this report by JoyNews.
Joy Business is learning that for persons that want to look for alternate flights to London via other major European airlines, will now have to deal with the transit visa challenge before they can reach their final destination, that is London. Now, Joy Business is learning that persons that are traveling with the Dutch airlines KLM will need a transit visa. But we also gather that the Dutch embassy is trying to have a quota on the number of visas that are issued by its officials. This might make it difficult for everyone flying with KLM to London to get there on time. Well, the challenge is not only with KLM that is demanding these transit visas, because Brussels and Air France are also requiring the same. Sources say this is due to the strict enforcement of the Brexit rules. Well, for those that still want to explore the transit routes to London, maybe they can consider flying with Kenya Airways or Ethiopian Airlines to London. Well, for now, if you insist on getting a direct flight to London with British Airways, then it will only be available on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sunday. And also for the month of June, you should be prepared to pay not less than $2,500 for an economy class ticket that is from Accra, London, Accra.
Well, joining us to discuss this further is Dominic Andor, who is Managing Editor of Aviation Ghana. Good afternoon to you, Dominic. Great to have you on the program. How significant is this that British Airways is cutting back on flights on the Accra-London route?
Well, British Airways for Ghanaian passengers has been flying here for decades, and is the #1 choice of most of Ghanaians traveling to the UK. But once they cut down flights from 7 daily flights, well, 7 flights a week to 5 flights a week, it means that we will have more demand exceeding supply. That's why, if you notice in your report, you noted that the prices have inched up a little. We expect that, of course, when there is so much demand and the seats available, the price will inch up a little. So typically for British Airways, we expect that they will fly daily, but because they are not flying daily, it's also hitting Ghanaian passengers very high because the price have inched up a bit.
And we understand this is as a result of a staffing shortage, but BA is not the only airline facing this problem. So what sort of pressure are airlines under following the post-pandemic staffing shortages?
Heathrow is BA's base at its hub. It operates thousands of flights out of Heathrow to Accra and other destinations around the world. During the pandemic, they laid off staff. Trying to get these staff back is a problem because some have moved on. The real difficulty lies in the fact that in aviation, there's a lot of red tapes. So some of the people who are interested in working for BA, that BA has submitted a list that I have spoken to these people, I want to recruit them, and I've submitted a list to the Home Affairs Office for security clearance. That is what is causing the delay. Because from the security side, you don't want somebody who is deemed terrorist, a suspect, someone who has question marks about security working at the airport. When this list was submitted, for instance, to the Home Affairs Office last month, it took a lot of time for few of those on the list to be cleared by the security operatives that, yes, you are qualified to work at the airport. So the airline does the interviews, send a list to the British government, the security guys, to also look at it and assess whether these people qualify to work at the airport. Because of what happened, a decade ago about security and etc., we are very careful about who works at the airport for which airline. That is also a major component. The second part is that there's a shortage of skilled workforce. We don't have a lot of people who are already skilled in airport operations and airline management available to recruit. So the new ones you are employing, you are taking them to training. And when you finish the training, you then submit their list to the government to assess these people. The list then delays, and then you don't have enough manpower at the airport to process people for flights. That is actually what is causing the delay.
And do you expect more airlines to follow in the suit of British Airways, what they have done as in cutting back on flights?
British Airways is mainly because of the challenges they have faced in their home base of Heathrow. In Africa, we know that unemployment itself is a challenge. And even trained aviation professionals had a lot of backlog that were not in employment. So African carriers and other European carriers haven't had much of an issue in relation to that. Mostly is BA and a few others, UK flights. Now, the challenge is Ghanaian passengers, what do we do? Because it's been slashed from 7 to 5 flights per week, and we still have to travel. There are alternatives that we are looking at. If either you go by KLM, Brussels, Air France, and connect to the UK, where you require a transit visa, or you can do the other African carriers, like Kenya Airways and Ethiopian Airlines, where Ghanaians don't require transit visas traveling to Kenya or connecting flights from Addis Ababa. You can use those two and others like Air Morocco to get to London and at a cheaper fare. Today, for instance, when we checked on Ethiopian Airlines to London return, it's about $1,300. If you check on Kenya Airways, it's about $980 return. You only have to connect the flight via Nairobi or connect the flight via Addis Ababa, where you don't require a transit visa. So for those going to the UK who don't have the time to apply for a transit visa, or they have to go immediately, they can look at that options and get into the UK at a cheaper fare.
All right. I know that generally airlines are yet to recover from the impact of COVID-19. And so for how long before we see things normalize?
In fact, in our space, I would say things have normalized for Ghanaian carriers. And even in the UK, for instance, look at the number of people at the airport wanting to fly. It tells you people are now homesick, they want to travel and explore the world. In Ghana, almost all the airlines have gone back to their pre-COVID-19 frequencies, operating daily flights from Accra or to Accra. Very few of them are still operating below their capacity. And even that, they are doing more frequencies. Initially, when on September 1st, 2001, when the airport was reopened, they were doing 2 flights. They increased to 3 flights. Some are doing 4 flights. Some are now doing 5 flights. But most of the airlines, like 99% of them, are doing daily frequencies from Accra. So for the Accra market, yes, I would say we have recovered, and we are looking forward to a lot more people traveling. If you look at the figures coming out, the first quarter figures looks promising. And we expect that with the lifting of the restrictions on gathering, etc., Afrochella and other ones coming up in December, etc., we expect that by December, we should be back to the pre-COVID-19 figures that we had in 2019.
Okay, my final question, when you listen to the report, George talks about challenges for even those applying transit routes. So I'm just wondering, what are the alternatives there for people who are used to flying the Accra London route with British Airways on the days that flights have been cancelled?
Well, the alternatives are many. Either you go by Brussels, Air France, KLM, through Europe. And because of Brexit, you require a transit visa to use those flights. The other option for Ghanaian travelers is that go through Kenya, Addis Ababa, to get to London. And those routes, you don't require a transit visa. Because Ghanaians is visa on arrival in Kenya for us, it's visa on arrival in Ethiopia for us. And they are very seamless connection. The connection time is very good. They can connect through either Nairobi or Addis Ababa to London. And of course, you can take the opportunity to explore those 2 countries as well. Spend a day in Nairobi, have fun. If you're not in a hurry, spend a day in Nairobi, have fun and continue. Do the same in Ethiopia, have fun for a day and continue. But if you still want to get to London as quickly as possible for a cheap fare, then you can just simply connect via Nairobi. You don't sleep over, just connect via Nairobi and get to London, or connect via Addis Ababa to London. And they are very cheap. 980 on KQ, which is Kenya Airways, and about 1,300 cedis on Ethiopian Airlines. And it's a very good option for those wanting to travel to London, but because of the a lot of demand on British Airways, the fares have gone up. They can't match the fares, so they can't pay for the fares, or there are no even seats available. They can use those other options, KQ and then Ethiopian Airlines, to get to London.
All right, Dominic Andor, Managing Editor, Aviation Ghana, thanks so much for your time and telling us more about this story that we are following for you. British Airways cutting back on flights on the Accra-London-Accra route. Now, let's turn to oil. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has expressed worry about the lack of impact of petroleum-funded projects in the country. It is therefore calling for amendment of the Petroleum Revenue Management Law to ensure that the annual budget funding amount is specifically used to finance oil projects only. Eric, therefore, is a member of PIAC.
GNPC is in a dual role. GNPC is operating one as a national oil company and at the same time as a commercial entity. Now, as a commercial entity, you expect that this board will be constituted by the creme de la creme of the business community. As a state institution also, it is possible to have representation from different independent institutions similar to what pertains with PIAC. But we have a situation where you can't find this blend on the board. And therefore, some of the decisions that are taken are either not purely commercial or purely state. There's a mix, and it makes it difficult. GNPC, as a national oil company, must build its capacity to be able to compete with the other international oil companies. We are putting a lot of resource, 55% of our carried and participatory interest revenue into GNPC. And the purpose is just for it to build its capacity and take the commanding heights of our petroleum industry. But if GNPC is beginning to solve social problems that are reserved for government to do through corporate social investment, etc., then it defeats the purpose of resourcing GNPC to build its capacity. So that is a major concern, and we feel that the structure of GNPC's board must be looked at. Even the recruitment of the chief executive should be a board decision, not the decision of government. So these are governance challenges that exist with GNPC, which we feel, if addressed, will reduce the kind of findings we also make on GNPC's reports that we feel are not appropriate use of oil resource. I mean, GNPC should not be guaranteeing other government institutions borrowing. Neither should GNPC be in a position to be giving loans to other government institutions. GNPC is not a financial institution, it's not a bank.
You're watching The Marketplace. Some more developments in the oil industry want to get you posted on. Tullow Oil has agreed to combine with its UK rival Capricorn Energy through an all-share deal that will create an Africa-focused but London-listed oil and gas specialist. With a market value of more than £1.4 billion, the deal marks a comeback for Tullow, whose future had been in doubt until it struck a critical $1.8 billion refinancing deal last year. Well, let's discuss this further. On Zoom to discuss this is Dr. Yusuf Suleimana. Let's begin with Tullow's challenges and how this merger is an important one, Dr. Suleimana. Dr. Suleimana, if you can hear me, how important is this deal for Tullow following its struggles recently?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon to your cherished viewers, Daryl. Yes, such a combination is a unique one, and I think it's something that observers would like to wait and see how everything pans out. Why am I saying that? I mean, at this moment in time, when companies are combining, people will stand by and ask, why is this combination at this time? However, mergers and acquisitions are things that are happening. I mean, they are phenomena that happen within the industry. And why do companies undergo this kind of strategic move? First of all, sometimes, if you have a company or if you have two more companies who have some unique weaknesses and strengths, those companies could decide to come together, where their weaknesses are nullified, and then so that they can strengthen their strengths. In this case, I think these companies, in my opinion, I think they want to build up their financial wherewithal and their technical capability. And especially, I'm more particular about the financial capability, because if you look at what is happening in the industry now, oil and gas industry is subjected into what we call capital discipline. There's a lot of capital discipline within the industry, whereby investment to the world of hydrocarbon is facing a lot of challenge, basically due to what we call ESG, that is environmental social governance. Climate change or green energy movement is becoming so strong that investment is beginning to shift to that area. So there's that competition. So organizations will have to build up their financial muscle so that if investment within the world of hydrocarbon gets further constrained, they will be capable of reinvesting or investing into their fields just to churn out more oil into the global basket. Yeah.
And so what does this really add? What is Capricorn adding to Tullow? And is this enough to get Tullow back on his feet?
Yeah, so yes, certainly. This is not to say Tullow is on its knees. Of course, we have been with Tullow for the last decade, and they have been our major player. I think they contribute more than 50% or closer to 50% of what Ghana currently produces. Albert, we would have wished that by now, Ghana should have been able to produce oil beyond 500 or 500,000 barrels of oil per day. As we speak now, we are struggling to make, let's say, even up to 200,000 barrels per stream day. That is so meager. Looking at how far we have gone with oil production from somewhere 2010 or 2019, 2010 up to now, almost 10 years, and we can't still cross the 200,000 barrels per stream day mark. Yeah, so I think it's largely due to the fact that we haven't done the required investment needed to catapult us beyond this high that we needed. And so yes, so investment, I think what they want to do is to make sure that they are able to return much strategic benefit in terms of share value to the shareholders, stakeholders, and then the host nation alike. So Ghana per se, what our interest here is that we are the host nation. So whatever happens to our NOC, we should have a kind of worry in a way. But what I'm trying to say is that Tullow is listed in Ghana Stock Exchange, just like it's listed in the UK's London Stock Exchange. So people do own shares within this company. So whatever is happening to the company, I think people have the cause to worry. But for me, such a merger would rather bring positive. It would rather bring positive results. What I'm saying that is the fact that, I mean, if assuming you need $100 million to do something, and then you are now combined with another person where you may need to put that only $75 or $50 million to champion that project, I think it will just help you to do much investment. And I think now Ghana requires a lot more investment into the world of hydrocarbon than before, for the fact that energy prices are becoming very expensive, the downstream side is burning out, oil prices are very high, and so this is a time to do massive investment to the world of hydrocarbon to recoup, whatever benefits that are there before probably, it takes the other 10 where renewables might be able to take the other part of we'll be able to take the championship position with respect to benefit in terms of the energy sector. So yes, there will be benefits. Let's hope that it's early days yet. We have to wait and see how the whole thing pans out. Assuming what our understanding is that Tullow is still going to have majority share, which is 53, and then Capricorn will have 47, and then so with Tullow having still majority share, I think we are still in strategic position, and so the combination, in a way, I think should rather result into something positive and not something negative. It's early days yet, so we just wait to see how things will pan out.
Okay, and a final one, and hopefully you can do that in a minute for us. So you talk about how things are fast moving in the oil and gas industry, and we also know that there is a forecast that oil has just 40 years left, and it makes you wonder what is next for the petrochemical industry. So then, how strategic can Tullow be at this particular point in time, looking at all that is happening around us?
Yeah, so that's a fact. In fact, we've heard this, Daryl, about 2010. We're told that oil is finishing, oil and gas is finishing. I mean, so we are hearing the same thing like by 2020, we are told that, we don't have much hydrocarbon left. Yes, so this is a dicey one. Nobody knows how much hydrocarbon reserve that we have. What is critical is that we need more investment at this moment into the world of hydrocarbon. Yes, renewables are coming at faster pace, but I don't think, we need to throw our hand in despair saying that because renewables are coming to the picture, we don't need to invest into the world of hydrocarbon. I think we still have massive strategic advantage in investment into the world of hydrocarbon. So what I would call is that, yes, hydrocarbon resources are finite, they will finish. It's just a matter of when.
And looks like Dr. Yusuf is frozen there, but point well made. This is good partnership, it's good for investment in the oil and gas industry, and Ghana will benefit. Well, finally, suppliers of building materials in Kwawu are worried about a dip in sales. Now, according to the suppliers, they are making losses because of price fluctuations. James Ishan reports.
There had been a colossal increase in the prices of various building materials across the country. According to some construction materials wholesalers and merchants, this is due to inflation, policy rates, and the amount of imported building supplies in the country. Kofi, who is into the production of wood for building, says the government should be willing to collaborate with the private sector to keep building materials prices in check. He stated that wholesalers charge customers outrageous prices, scaring them away.
Expenses are too much, transport is too much. Before sending money, so we do have no more. Now I send money boy dinty. Obi craft floor say, Obusawa the other boy. Before so be you are not actually say be a senior ton and senior ton.
It's very expensive conveying the wood and other building materials to Accra. We feel unhappy, sometimes giving out the price to our customers. We are scared they might go away, and besides, you are not the only one selling wood around.
But I
think the government should step in and control the prices. We know it's a general problem, but the authorities should not sit aloof for citizens to make their own decisions. Fifi has been in the cement business for 17 years. According to him, wholesalers and merchants would have to beg some customers before purchasing their product. He explains the clients believe that the supplies are being sold at exorbitant cost on purpose.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'm at the time is low. See about what was because
there is a dip in sales. You could get 2 bags of cement with 100 cedis months ago, but now you cannot. The buyers think it's a deliberate act by we the sellers to increase the prices. We need to even beg them to come around to buy the materials.
The complaints are those.
Now, what kind of cement bag? Currently, what is the price for a cement bag?
Currently, in Sicilian cement, no. Near me was near 32.5 hour grade, and we're 58. And they all 42.5 hour, and here 63.
Okay, aside cement, what are some of the materials a bit costly because roofing plaster, some plywood be near then almost are their prices stable or and also prices never shoot up?
Shoot up. I find it's governance.
The prices of everything here in my shop has shot up astronomically. The roofing sheet was 28 cedis recently, but now 32 cedis. Plywood is now 52 cedis, but 48 cedis weeks ago. The price of imported materials have really shot up, but the prices of the local manufactured materials is manageable.
Locally, no, the shooting, no, I am Nebebre Sania, Cradebano.
Some of these merchants are bewailing the rate at which prices rise. And Tiafi, a paint and other materials vendor, voiced her displeasure with the rate at which prices rise in a shorter period of time.
The cost of building materials have shot up astronomically. You would have to add up any time you're going to buy any building materials from the wholesalers because the prices aren't stable. The glue was sold at 90 cedis, but now 130 cedis. Wheelbarrow was 220 cedis just last Friday, but now 240 in the space of 3 days. Because of that, we cannot even make the end profit, but end up running at loss. The rate at which the prices go up is mind-boggling.
Hey, nano kra mi ton bi 220. Me fra kra mi bi sana na kra 260. Enu ti wo hwe na sa nils na 45 Ghana cedis. Enne ye to no 640. 64 ya 64 e wa kra. Nti ba ha be kosoro. Enu ti wo to niam na sisi ya ne atum na kosoro. Ti niam de e kosoro.
Things will never change with John unless Ghanaians adjust their business approach. Citizens, he believes, have a role to play in this. We shouldn't always blame the government for the hike in prices. We know it has a part to play in this. But I think we, the citizens, are to be blamed because we keep increasing prices without directive from the authorities. We need to give the right price out there to the customers. However, Charles, who also sells wood, attributes the increase to the hike in fuel prices. Ours is influenced by the fuel increment. We just don't increase the price of the wood. So this is what most of these sellers of building materials are saying. Most of them are clearly saying there had been a dip in the sales of building materials. Basically, people are not really showing up to buy some of their building materials, which you could talk of cement.
James is sharing with that report. Ending the marketplace. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Goodbye.